I've been with my wonderful girlfriend for a few years now, and we usually get along great, aside from this current issue. She's a self-proclaimed foodie, which I honestly think is just selling herself short. She's a food genius. She can taste and smell a dish and then turn around and recreate it, or even make it better than the original. If you taste something and wonder, what's that super subtle flavor? She'll tell you, it's anchovy paste or sumac or lavender or some other obscure spice that you would never think of. When someone is cooking something, and they go, it's missing something, she can tell you exactly what it needs. It doesn't stop there. She knew I had touched a diesel truck at work one morning, as soon as I walked into the house that night, because she could somehow smell it on me. It's either really cool or really creepy, depending on the day. That's not it, either. She heard about a lost family recipe, and next week I'm eating my grandmother's homemade sausage again for the first time in 15 years. It's gotten to the point where I don't see any point in going out to eat, pretty much ever, except maybe her birthday. Even the most exotic ingredients aren't out of her reach, either, and, even though it's not about cost, I've saved up more being with her than I ever had in any other relationship. The only places we really go for date night is ramen. She can't figure out how to make the noodles, but she still tries, so it's just a matter of time, and sushi. Our anniversary was recently, and I had noticed that our local fish counter was selling sushi-grade fish, along with the rolling mats and nori, so I suggested that we have homemade sushi for our anniversary dinner before going out, and she upset and said, "I'm not learning how to make sushi, because then I'll never get a real date ever again." We ended up going out instead. It kinda took me by surprise that she got so mad, though. She's lightly mentioned wanting to go out occasionally to places like Olive Garden, because she likes the red sauce, or other places because she likes the food, and now that I'm thinking about it, she's gotten kinda gloomy, because I've asked her to cook on date nights, instead of going out more often. She also brought up that food she cooks tastes better to me because she's tasting and smelling it while it cooks, so her senses are dulled by the time it's served, but she has the most acute sense of smell and taste I've ever seen, so I kinda think it's just an excuse. I just don't think it's worth it to go out and pay restaurant food prices when we can stay home for home food prices and have food that's just as excellent. Completely, you are the idiot. You said you have your own private chef. Do you think your wife wants to cook every single night for you? Oh no. She makes sacrifices of her time every time she cooks for you, which sounds like a lot, so why can't you sacrifice some of your time to take her out and possibly show her thanks for the things she does for you? Man, you're being thick. Maybe that's why she got upset at the thought of never being taken out for dinner again. And I feel like you should bring this up with her directly if it's upsetting you. Just talk to her. You are the idiot. You don't have a private chef. You have a girlfriend, who I assume is doing all the work on the grocery shopping, meal planning and cooking front while you reap the benefits. I seriously hope you are helping to clean up the kitchen after dinner at the very least. I also hope, since she's doing all of that work, you've picked up the slack in other areas of housework. She wants a night off or date night. That's not unreasonable. You are the idiot to the point where I'm getting mad reading this. Put yourself in her shoes. You want to relax and spend time with your partner, little to no stress involved, but she insists that you spend what I imagine being at least an hour or more of prep every time you have a date. She's not your personal chef, and I feel insulted on her behalf that you're thinking of her like that. She likes cooking, cool, but she doesn't live to cook for you. When I was 3, my mom divorced my dad because she fell in love with stepdad, who instantly moved in with me and mom. Mom got me a nanny and started spending all her time with her new man. I remember many instances in which I asked her to take me to the park or movies, and she'd respond that the nanny should take me because that was her job. My childhood was not entirely bad because over the years I actually got to bond with the first stepdad, and he would make an effort to include me in their activities. When I was 15, my mom fell for someone else and broke up with the second stepdad, who just moved out one day, and I never got to hear from him again. About a week after the first stepdad moved out, she met the second stepdad, and a week after that, the second stepdad moved in with us. I didn't really like him, and he didn't really like me, but we were civil to each other until one day. That day, Mom and second stepdad were supposed to go to a theater show that was to start at 7 p.m. It was about 6:45 already, and they were still on the couch watching TV, so I asked them if the show was off. I didn't get a clear response, so I asked a few more times what were they going to do. Well, the second stepdad got mad. He started screaming that I have no right to ask him to leave the house. Mom got mad too and sent me to my room, but I could still hear him saying that he can't live with me anymore. After a few more minutes, my mom came into my room and told me to pack my bags and go live with my grandma. Long story short, I lived with my grandma for about 2 months, having no contact with my mom, until she called and told me to come home. When I got home, there was nobody there and all my mom's stuff was gone. I called my mom, and she told me that she moved in with the second stepdad and that she will continue to give me money, but I would have to live alone. Right now, I am 22 and in grad school. I only have a part-time job that doesn't pay much, so my mom still covers some of my expenses. I have an amazing boyfriend, but I found myself having some unhealthy reactions in the relationship, so I started going to therapy, where I realized that I do have abandonment issues and started to work on them. Now, this is where I might be an idiot. When I first went to therapy, I also started asking my mom for some extra money to cover its cost. My mom has a great salary and money has never been an issue. She just doesn't believe in therapy and has been continuously asking me why do I even need it, telling me that I have no issues and that therapy is just a fad. At one point, I snapped and told her, well, I actually do have a lot of issues and you're the cause of every one of them. You are a horrible mother and neglected me for any man that crossed your path. So if anyone should pay for my therapy, that's you. She started crying, I left her place, and we haven't spoken for 2 weeks. I'm starting to think that I was too harsh, and my guilt is eating me up. Not the idiot, your issues stem from her inability to be a good mother. She prioritized her partners over her child. She's crazy for that. If she's financially stable, the least she can do is help you solve the problems she threw into your life. She sounds like such an idiot, and it's making me angry too. What type of mother craps on their child their whole life like that and then rejects therapy too because they don't believe in it? I don't understand. In conclusion, I don't like your mom. She sounds like trash. Not the idiot. Honestly, you've got some big strength for that one. Your mom was terrible to you and continues to just throw money in your direction like she can fill the crater where affection should go with cash. Feels so shallow. I don't know you, but I'm proud of you for recognizing your own problems and seeking help and telling your mother the truth she needs to hear. When you have children, they should be your #1 priority. Unfortunately, for your mother, that wasn't the case, and I am sorry you've had to go through that. Not the idiot. If she doesn't like hearing the truth, maybe she should have actually behaved like a mother. Her duty was to you until you became an adult and had your feet under you. She doesn't really have a right to call herself your mother, as she really didn't have much of a hand in raising you. She chose to have a child, and her whole life she thought that her only duty towards you was to pay your bills, while ignoring you completely. Well, now she has a chance to pay another bill, this one of her own making. Let me start with the background. When my son was 8, his mother cheated and later left me for a richer man. I wanted joint custody, but I got obliterated in court because her husband had better lawyers. I had him about twice a month for a day or so, never overnight, and a few holidays. I would try to go to as many school events as possible to spend time with him, but it was clear that he didn't like me there. He never even acknowledged me. What hurt the most was when he started calling my ex's husband dad all the time, but called me by my first name every now and then. The whole situation took a huge toll on me, so when my son was 12, I decided to move back to my hometown and start a business with my childhood friends. I tried calling him all the time and asking him to come over for holidays and summers, but he never wanted to, so I didn't force him. I knew at that point I wasn't his dad anymore, and, like my wife, he replaced me with someone better. I still continue to pay child support. I tried several times to get in contact with him and set up trips and such, but he said he didn't want to, and he didn't want me to come. Calls with him barely lasted a few minutes because he really wasn't interested. The issue. 6 years later. The business was a success, and I'm now making 6 figures a year. I married one of my childhood friends who had 2 kids, 19 and 8, a couple of years after I moved. She was there at my lowest, when I was starting from nothing, and I love her kids like they were my own, and adopted them a few years ago. Dad is out of the picture. Out of the blue, I get a call from a random number, and it was my son calling me. I was so happy to hear from him again, but he just graduated from high school and got accepted, and was wondering if I would pay for his college. This hurt me. After all these years of low contact, he was calling me for money. Apparently, his mom and stepdad divorced a year ago, and he wanted nothing to do with him. Then I told him how I felt after all those years of him ignoring me, and told him no, I wouldn't pay for his college. He then asked if I was paying for my stepdaughter's tuition fee, and I told him yes, I'm paying for her pre-med, and I'm going to pay for med school after. He hung up after calling me useless, and my ex called me screaming, but I just hung up after a few minutes. I think one of my relatives gave them my number, but I'm not sure. My wife doesn't want to get involved. My friends think I was right, but my family thinks I'm an idiot. So from a neutral point of view, Reddit. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Blood doesn't make family, love does. He chose to cut you out of his life, and this is a consequence of that decision. And the fact that he didn't even bother to spend any time making a fake relationship with you before hitting you up for money, that's cold. However, crap like this doesn't happen for no reason. Kids don't turn on their parents just for craps and gigs. Think about what his life was like pre-divorce, and why he may have wanted to see less of you. Not the idiot. You all split when he was young, so even if your ex isn't bad-mouthing you, his childhood was shaped by you not being around, even understanding as an adult why parents split and the awful truths of how crap like this happens. Some adults still can't reconcile logic with history, which is in no way your fault. But that being said, no, you should not have to pay a red cent. The ex should have thought about paying for her own son, of whom she isolated from his father. Not the idiot. I imagine your son was very much influenced by his mom, and that drove a wedge between you on top of the crappy custody agreement. It's sad that happened to him, however it's not right for him to pop up out of nowhere and immediately ask for money from you just because his dad kicked him to the curb without so much as an attempt to get to know you. Financially, you're not obligated to him in any way, so you're not the idiot in that regard. In November last year, I, 30, gave birth to our first baby. It's the first in my family and the 6th in my husband's family, 32. It's important to say that all the 6 kids are boys and mother-in-law is in some sick baby girl rabies. Ever since we made the announcement, mother-in-law convinced herself that I was pregnant with a girl. I told her that once we knew the gender, she would be the first one to know. We told her it was a boy, she still was convinced it was a girl. She told the whole side of the family it was a girl. I corrected, but she told them I was just annoyed because I wanted a boy first. She also told them we are naming the girl after her mom, which we will never do because hubby hates his grandma. When the baby shower gift started to come, I noticed a lot of things that weren't in the register. Embroidered things with grandma's name. And it didn't matter, we told them the gender and the name, and made clear we are not lying about the gender. Everyone believed her. Well, the baby was born. And imagine the surprise. It was a boy, just like we have been telling everyone. The problem, for them, was that now the baby has plenty of girly clothes, pink onesies etc., and we are dressing our baby with them. Especially for his family video calls, and for pictures for them. After Saturday's call, mother-in-law called us to scream at us because we are making the elders uncomfortable for not sticking to a masculine color scheme for the baby clothes. And we have to be this childish. She just thought my belly shape was more like a girl than for a boy. We told her we will not change the baby's clothes and to just wait until the dresses fit. He will look adorable. Well, I commented on one of my friends, and she told me I was wrong and should just listen to her. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot, this is hilarious. Your mother-in-law is mad and full of shame that she and the rest of the family get to be constantly reminded she's an idiot. Every time she sees your son, she's being mocked by his dainty clothes that she bought. Hard to say if your son will understand your position as he gets older, however. As adults, we know it doesn't matter, but kids' psychology can be different. Good luck with your mother-in-law. Frame a nice picture of your son in his prettiest dress for her. Not the idiot. You told her it was a boy, she gave you these clothes for the baby, clearly she intended these clothes to be for a boy. Honestly, as long as the baby is in diapers, a dress can be easier for diaper changes. Just lift the skirt and change, no buttons, no snaps, no trying to get wiggly legs back in pants. Enjoy that she was so helpful to provide them. I'm old enough to remember when people didn't generally know the gender before birth. The idea of gender-specific newborn clothes is kind of silly. The baby has no gender identity of any sort, it just eats and sleeps. Not the idiot. Mother-in-law insisted you were having a girl, so she had all your husband's family send girly pink clothes with grandma's name embroidered on them. Imagine her face when you had a boy. Now you are dressing your son in all those cute pink clothes for her, video calls and photos, and she is livid. This is the best revenge on her for insisting you were having a boy. It might not be a great idea to keep this up for long, as you might really alienate your husband's family. You can save the girl's clothes in case you have a girl in the future.